Man, she right out the goddamn window. If you don't get your goddamn dog.
Man, look. y'all know what time it is, man. Hey, when I tell y'all when we come on and we laughing, we finna have a good time with this thing.
Lord, but God is good.
It's 8:00. It's prime time like Deion Sanders.
Yes, sir.
But I'm gonna turn it over to my boy because he doing his thing, man. But I just had to get that out.
Man, that's all well and good, Smitty. You know what's going on, man. Hey, everybody, what's going on out there? You get to see this mug again, man, on a Tuesday night, man. Normal time, 8:00, man. Welcome to the 95 North Sports Machine. I am your host, Berto, your host of the 95 North Falcons Talk Show, joined by my co-host, Smooth Smitty and Smitty Sports Machine. Together, we are the 95 North Sports Machine. See you back in 20 seconds. We have a special guest for y'all tonight. We live. We in this thing, man. Smitty, what's going on, man? How you doing tonight, brother?
And that much, man. Just doing my due, man. Bringing out news when I found out and giving my opinions on things with the Falcons. But we're gonna switch it up a little bit tonight. We're gonna talk Falcons and Braves. Because those Braves are red hot. And I have a couple of questions that I want y'all to answer, man, because I want to know y'all vibe on the Falcons and the Braves. But
absolutely,
before we go on, man, you already know what to do with that chat.
Yes, man. Let's man give a quick shout out to everybody in the chat right now. Those that are viewing, thank you so much for viewing. Either that's on the Facebook platform, through Twitter, what have you not, man. But those in the chat right now, Oblivion Empire, what up, fam? A1 Forever, Chris Tipmore, what it do? What it do, man? The plug, RJ ATL for life. What's going on? Our brother Winston Thornton, Bubble Gump, Terry Ocean Boy Martin Jr. Thank you for joining the stream tonight. Shaka Zulu, man, what's going on, fam? Man, I hope all is well with you. Miss Carrie, our celebrity over here. Met CP, met Mac Hollins. I mean, good God, man, who is she, man? Blowing up like you thought she would, man. Awesome to see you on the stream tonight, Carrie. What's going on? King Layden 23, John Higgins, man, and our boy Tony Wright, man. Appreciate y'all tuning in tonight, man. So, folks, man, we have a very special guest tonight, man. He should be popping in sometime soon. Fox 5 News reporter Miles Garrett, man. We're really excited to have him on the stream tonight, man. We're going to be talking some Falcons football, some Braves, of course. There's some things that we have to ask him and his expertise in the field, and yeah, just get his overall senses of what's the feel like for this Falcons? He works so close by with them, man. So I know he has to feel a different sort of energy this year in 2023 as opposed to years in the past, man. So can't wait to have him on. But Smitty, man, what's on the mind? Tell the folks what you did today, man. I know you had a banger of a video early on today. If you want to just elaborate on that a little bit more.
Yeah, man. Y'all know how I do, man. All-time Atlanta Falcons top 10 players. It was a tough list. I did do honorable mentions before I started the top 10, and I got good feedback on it. I was really surprised by that. But also, the Falcons had more roster moves, and the Damone Harris, defensive lineman, defensive end, he was signed, and Ade Ogundeji goes on IR with an ankle injury. He may miss a good little bit of time. Also, they released offensive lineman Kobe Tucker, 6'9" kid who I did a video on about a week ago. He did play in Miami, and I guess he didn't pass the eye test.
Hey, it is what it is, man. But we have some more folks tuning in right now. Our brothers from Out of Your Falcon Mind, Mike and John. What's going on, man? Thank you for stopping by tonight, man. We really appreciate it. Folks, if you missed the collaboration we had last night, myself and John from Out of Your Falcon Mind, Mike couldn't join us because he's still under the weather. Go to either Out of Your Falcon Mind platform or 95 North Falcons Talk Show platform, and please replay that, man. We put on a great show last night breaking down the entire NFC conference, man, giving You guys predicted winners from each of the divisions with records. So it was a fun little collaboration we had in store for you guys last night. Nothing but positive feedback. Again, shout out to everybody that popped through, stopped through with comments, and just caught the vibe with us, man. So we definitely appreciate that. Right. Joining us also, Kevin Tolbert, J-Boy 5 Racks, Justin Swisher Sweets, man. My hometown homie, Jay Diaz, what's happening, fam? Miss Lisa Shepard, how you doing tonight? Archangel, Every Season, Real 90s Baby, ATL's Drum. Man, we got a lot of love tonight, man. Chat's already popping, man. Zay in the Bag also joining us as well. Folks, as mentioned at the beginning of the show, man, we're just waiting on Miles Garrett to go ahead and pop in so we can welcome him properly.
Shout out to Zay in the Bag, man. He started a YouTube channel. So y'all please go check him out. Zay in the Bag, man. He's from Baltimore. So he's
awesome.
Raised in territory. Being a Falcons fan, so I know that's pretty tough.
Oh man.
Bag, man. Shout out.
Absolutely. Folks, man, our guest is here. This is an honor and a privilege to be sharing this platform on the 95 North Sports Machine with Atlanta Falcons' very own, man, Miles Garrett. Let's bring him in, everybody. Yes, sir. Miles, man, how you doing tonight? Thank you for taking out the time to collaborate with us on this evening, man. Appreciate you so much in the work that you do, man. Welcome to the 95 North Sports Machine, man. How you doing?
Doing well, guys. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, man.
Can I ask you a question right quick? How did you get a job at Fox 5 at 15 years old? I just got to know.
At 15 years old? Get out of here.
Like you look like you still in high school. I'm being real.
Oh, man. Well, yeah, I guess I got to credit my mom's genetics for that. My mom has very, very youthful-looking face, so I'll credit her with that.
Cool, okay, man. So, man, we're gonna jump right into it, Miles, man. We're really excited to have you on, man. As we mentioned before the show, we talk a little bit of Braves, talk a little bit about the Falcons, mainly the Falcons. But the Atlanta Braves, man, off to a hot streak, a hot start, after the All-Star game. I was at the Mets game Saturday, and that shellacking 21-3 was really, really nice to see. A lot of Atlanta faithfuls up in Citi Field, but the Atlanta Braves are on a historic pace with this home run situation, man. They're on a tear, hitting for average, hitting for power. What say you on the possibility of the Braves breaking that home run record this season?
Well, I don't see any reason why it would be slowing down. I mean, I believe right now we've got it on in the sports office. I think they're up 3-0 currently against the Yankees, and they were bombs away again last night. So, I mean, Matt Olson is on pace to hit 60 home runs. He's doing the same thing that Aaron Judge was doing last season. But, I mean, there's power all over the lineup. I mean, even guys like Michael Harris are able to hit the long ball. Eddie Rosario hits one last night. I mean, it's just all over the lineup. Sean Murphy. It's only a matter of time, I feel like, before Nicky Lopez starts.
Oh my God!
Well. So, it's all over the place.
Brother, I didn't recognize who that was. I was there, like I mentioned, Saturday. I'm like, man, who is the shortstop right now? I didn't see the news where they had brought him up, and he was going to spot start for the day. Under the same token of talking about the Braves, we got news today that Ozzy Albies was placed on a 10-game DL for a calf strain, I think, if I read correctly, and they brought up Vaughn Grissom. So good to see Vaughn Grissom get another crack in the big leagues. I mean, I know he's been doing pretty good at AAA. So, hopefully, either he may be auditioning for other teams next year. Orlando Arcia has really done, an outstanding job making Alex Anthopoulos look like a genius, making the decision to let, clubhouse leader Dansby Swanson go. Yet another guy just, walking free agency. And we relied on Orlando Arcia. So, like you mentioned, also Matt Olson batting .276, currently has 43 home runs. OPS, I think, is well over into the thousands, man. So it comes to question, Acuna or Olson for the NL MVP race, man?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like right now Ronald Acuna Jr. has done nothing to give it up. So you can't take away what he's done all season long. That being said, if Matt Olson is somehow able to get 60 home runs and maybe even go beyond that, it's going to be a discussion because you just don't see that every single season. But at the end of the day, Ronald Acuna Jr. has put together a historic year. He's on a historic pace with the amount of stolen bases that he's hitting, as well as the power that he brings to the plate, and just overall everything he brings to the table. When he gets on base, the very first inning, you blink your eye and he's on third base tonight.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just what he's able to do. The five-tool player that he is very unique to the game of baseball, and I think so far he's still the clear front.
And I got a question concerning Acuna. Would you compare him to a modern day Ricky Henderson or a modern day Barry Bonds?
Who was the second one?
Barry Bonds.
Oof, I'd probably say the first one. I don't think Acuna quite has the amount of power of Barry yet. Knock on wood. Certainly would like to see that, but yeah, I'd say more of the first, just because of the speed and his ability in the outfield. His ability to create more plays on the base path, that sort of thing.
Now switching over to pitching, Kyle Wright is a concern to me. I don't really know if he's going to play this year again, but how big of a concern is that going towards the postseason?
Yeah, I mean, pitching certainly has been a concern post All-Star break with this team. You get Max back, which is huge. He has a very good start last night. That was encouraging to see. You want to see Bryce Elder rebound a little bit. Hopefully he does that tonight. He's had a few rough outings here and there. Spencer Strider, another guy who's had some rough outings. He had a good start against the New York Mets. Still leads Major League Baseball in strikeouts, which is really big. And of course, I think most Braves fans tend to agree. You kind of know what you're getting with Charlie Morton, especially in postseason. He's going to be a valuable piece. So I think that fifth starter is really the question mark right now. Yanni Chirinos, I think, has proven that he's not necessarily going to be that guy going forward. You certainly would like to see maybe a guy like Michael Soroka come back up.
Yes.
And, maybe given another chance to see what he can do, if not in the relief. So I think him being a starting pitcher and what he's been doing in Gwinnett, I think he's certainly earned an opportunity to come back up here and prove himself once again. But yeah, I would love to see some more certainty surrounding Kyle Wright. I feel like it's been more of a question mark all season long of his injury status. But as of right now, I think I'd like to see Michael Soroka up there.
Yeah. Any thoughts to a possible Cy Young award winning by Spencer Strider? Currently, he's 13-4 with a 3.75 ERA. Do you feel like what does he have to do more to like really stamp his place in the running for Cy Young?
Well, definitely keep the strikeouts up. I mean, that he's on a historic pace when it comes to just the strikeouts. I think that's what's keeping him in the race mostly, is what he's doing in this just the strikeout realm. But he needs to improve from his last few outings. Like I was saying, he did great against the New York Mets this past outing that he had. And you just want to see more of that, more consistency, because he did get beat up a couple times his last few outings. So you want to see just more consistency out of Spencer Strider. And I think he will. He's still very young. He's still got some things he's trying to figure out. Some teams are figuring him out. So I think he needs to make his own adjustments, and I think he'll be fine.
Very well, very well, very well. Oh, man, let's switch topics. Let's talk about our Atlanta Falcons, man. Oh, my God. Anytime I have to talk about the Falcons, man, the grin always from ear to ear, man. Just I'm a hopeful, and I think this year has such a different feel and different vibe. You covering the team as well as you do. What's the consensus? What's the sense around the team this year? Do you feel like this is a team that's finally finding their stride, so to say, with the confidence department? Because these guys are loose, they're having fun. You see Arthur Smith with everything he's doing with the media finding the Orlando Ledbetter, which is historic. I mean, hilarious. You know what I mean? So what's your take on how this Falcons feels overall, seeing as you cover them as much as you do?
Yeah, I mean, I think the big thing, first of all, is the fact that this version of the Falcons, the 2023 Falcons, is really the first year we've seen Arthur Smith and Terry Fontenot's team. I mean, we don't have any more of the cap issues that have hamstrung this team for the last 2 years. They've had to kind of work on these rental type players, work on some players from the previous regime to make work for their system. This is the first year we've seen their team together. They've already released a few from the Michael Walker was another guy who was a draft pick from the previous regime who's no longer with the team. So I think that's one of the biggest aspects of how this team is functioning now that it is sort of officially that new era of Terry Fontenot and Arthur Smith. But yeah, I mean, it's a team that now has a solid mix of young guys and veterans. You know, you add a guy like Calais Campbell to a Grady Jarrett, you know, all these proven veterans, especially on the defense, like Jesse Bates, and add them to a group of young guys like Troy Anderson, a guy who's got a ton of potential, a lot of talent there. It just needs to be honed in a little bit. And then, of course, the offense just riddled with young talent. You know, and obviously we know we got in Bijan and Drake and Kyle. You add in a guy like Mac Hollins, who is slightly more of a veteran. Scotty Miller, who's worked with Tom Brady in the past, so he knows what a winning franchise looks like. And then, of course, you got your veterans on the offensive line. You lock Chris Lindstrom up long term. He's going to be your ace in the hole. And as well, you got Jake Matthews there, too. So there's just a lot to be excited about for this team. And really, I think the key is just Desmond Ridder being able to function the ship, and so far it's looking like he has the capability and the talent to do that.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Going forward, how many snaps do you think he gets Friday night and week 3 of the preseason? What do you think his snap count gonna look like?
It's hard to decipher that. Arthur Smith likes to play those things kind of close to the chest when it comes to, you know, how long he wants his guys out there. Me personally, I don't need to see the starters out there very long. It's the preseason. I mean, I like to point to last year when Drake London debuted against the Lions, and I think the second play he got hurt. So, you know, I don't need to see Kyle Pitts hurting his knee or Drake London having a shoulder issue because he got tackled. So I don't think we need to see too much of them. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't doubt to see the starters out there for 2 series at the very least. I think they'll get that from what they're implying at practice and what Arthur Smith has said. I think we'll at least get 2 series.
Oh, solid, man. So, you know, speaking of the salary cap and how we haven't been, you know, we haven't had the constrictions that we've had in years prior. This year, we've had the wallet, and believe me, we opened it up a plenty. We stand a little bit over $11 million in cap space right now with the moves that were made, the Michael Walker release, the Frank Darby release, the Chris Blair release. Are they going on injured reserve? Do you feel like the Falcons are going to try and scout what available positions are out there as far as what wide receiver is available, if there's a guard available, because Matt Hennessy's still, you know, with that pending injury that he has, we're not sure what his status is going to be. Do you feel like the Falcons are priming themselves to make a move in late August for, you know, a player at either position, whether that be edge rusher or interior offensive line?
Absolutely, yeah. I wouldn't be surprised. Terry Fontenot has always remained very active when it comes to guys they're looking at. And again, I mean, at the end of the preseason, there's going to be final cuts. Guys who are mostly, you figure would be locks to make a team, may not make a team. And suddenly you got a guy who's available throughout the entire league. Maybe you take a flyer on somebody who's a surprise cut. So it's still early in the preseason. There's still time to sort of figure those things out. And I mean, Terry Fontenot has already added some guys himself right now to fill those roster spots. You had the USFL Defensive Player of the Year to sort of fill in that spot for Michael Walker, and among some other players who are, you know, bound to get cut, and you're going to need some replacing. So, you know, we'll see at the wide receiver room as well. Frank Darby, you know, put on injured reserves or released rather. I'm sure he's probably going to end up putting on the injured reserve list. But yeah, I know it's certainly an area you could look at. I know Corey Davis has been a name a lot of Falcons fans have been looking at just because of his ties to Arthur Smith and you know what his role might be with the Jets, however limited it could be. So yeah, Terry Fontenot has definitely seemed and shown in the past that he's always open for business.
Good answer.
Looking to the defensive side of the ball, we saw all kind of little, you know, examples of what Ryan Nielsen's going to throw at offenses this season. What are your thoughts on some of the schemes they were running at that first preseason game with the backup players?
Yeah, no, it was, first of all, it was extremely encouraging, just the amount of pressure they were getting on the quarterback. And we saw that throughout joint practices as well, all the videos of, you know, kind of bulldozing the Miami offensive line. It's certainly very encouraging, especially when you think of what you saw with the Carolina offensive line being the first game that the Falcons will play. And again, you saw this with third stringers. It's going to be exciting to see that defense work with Onyemata, Grady, Calais Campbell, Bud Dupree, Troy Anderson, all those starters with all the talent in the world. So it'll be very exciting to see. As far as the schemes are concerned, I like how much Ryan Nielsen's sort of mixing it up. You see a little bit of 3-4, a little bit of 4-3 in there, certain elements of it, guys who can sort of play those different positions. Lorenzo Carter can play edge rusher, can play linebacker. Same situation with guys like Bud Dupree, sort of that fluidity. You can be in a 3-4, but you can also play in that 4-3, like I was saying. So, I think it's a defense that schematically works for the type of personnel that they have right now.
Very dope. Very dope. Very dope. It's going to be somewhat of a homecoming this Friday, as we all as much may not know, but here we go. Ricardo Allen comes back into town, and we all know what Ricardo Allen meant to the Atlanta Falcons as a leader. Quite frankly, in the secondary and the Dan Quinn years, I know a lot of folks. I was saddened by his departure. He's filling in as I think an offensive assistant right now for the Cincinnati Bengals. So would you try and seek him out and try to get a word with him while you're down on the field and kind of see try to catch up on times? I would imagine a guy like that left such an imprint in Atlanta. A lot of folks might want to know how he's doing with the coaching aspect as he progresses his career.
Absolutely, yeah, and it's funny you bring up Rico because a couple weeks ago we spoke to Jesse Bates about it, and Jesse Bates spoke to Ricardo Allen about Atlanta and what the city is, what the team's all about, and offered some interesting insight about it. And he, as you said, certainly a very good player during his tenure here, very important piece for this defense during the Dan Quinn years. So it'd be very exciting to see him back here in Atlanta.
Cool, man.
What position battle are you close to looking at? Because as I look at the cornerback position at the number 2 spot, the inside linebacker spot, and the starting strong safety, which position battle are you most looking forward to?
Yeah, I think the wide receiver spot's very intriguing to me because, you have Drake as your wide receiver 1. You have Matt Collins most likely as your wide receiver 2. And then you maybe look at a guy like Kadarius Hodge or Scotty Miller as your number 3 or 4, kind of interchangeable there. Then I think it's when it gets interesting. I thought Frank Darby would be an interesting choice for that 5th spot. But now you've got a few other guys. Josh Ali had a pretty bad drop, I would say, against Miami. It was a hell of a throw from Logan Woodside.
Sure was.
But he also has been having a good camp, so that you can't underplay that. Another guy, Penny Hart, local guy here from Atlanta, who could be a vital piece in the special teams game as a punt returner. Could be another interesting piece there. So that's a position battle I'm looking at. As well as the linebackers, like you said. I think there's a lot of bodies there right now, and depending on the scheme that they want to work with. You have Troy Anderson. I keep forgetting some of the names that they have now. Nate Landman, some of the guys that you add there with Lorenzo Carter and whatnot. You may even add a new guy there with some of the injuries and the departures of Michael Walker. So those are the 2 areas I'm looking at the most. The secondaries become interesting now with the injuries that they've had with Mike Hughes with the soft tissue and Jeff Okudah hopefully being back earlier in the season as well. And Clark Phillips dealing with an injury bug as well. So you'd certainly like to see those guys get healthy and let those position battles resume, because from what we saw from them early in camp, the returns were very promising.
Yeah, very good, very good. I love it, man. Switching to the offensive line, are you at all concerned with the depth behind at left guard? I had this notion, just thinking, we drafted Matt Bergeron in the 2nd round, and highly decorated offensive tackle out of Syracuse, and he's transitioning to guard from tackle. Is that at all a concern? Thrusting him into the lineup. Do you see this regime kind of moving away from the mistake they made the first time around, how they handled Jalen Mayfield? Because Jalen Mayfield was, solid right tackle for Michigan, and then, he transitioned into the guard situation, much like what Bergeron is doing. But we kind of see, Mayfield now, having a hard time finding his footing in the NFL. Should we take it easy with Matt Bergeron and maybe look somewhere else to solidify that left guard spot momentarily? Because again, our assumed starter, Matt Hennessy, went down early in camp, and, really not a lot of info has been put out. Coach Arthur Smith keeps those things as close to the vest as possible. So do you feel like, the Falcons could be, in game to probably fill that spot with somebody outside of the organization?
I would say I wouldn't be surprised, but I don't think they will. I think one thing that they do like about that offensive line is the consistency and how long that group has been together now. I think that's a very vital and underrated aspect of the offensive line. A lot of football fans and a lot of people aren't really aware of is just having chemistry and having the same guys there together for a long time. It really does wonders for an offensive line. So when you have guys like Jake Matthews, Lindstrom, Hennessy, maybe potentially now Matt Bergeron, all these guys who have developed, over a full off season and working together. Even Jalen Mayfield, he's still going through his struggles, but he had a few moments against Miami where it looked like he's starting to put some things together, and maybe it has taken a couple years for him. But yeah, I do think you're right. I think that it was just an unfortunate situation for Jalen where he was thrown into the fire a little bit earlier than he was supposed to be. I do think Matt Bergeron was slightly more pro-ready than Jalen was at the time, which is another encouraging thing. I mean, Matt Bergeron's a guy that could have been taken in the first round. The Cowboys were strongly considering taking him there in the mid-20s. So I don't think it's too much of a concern, and I don't think Hennessy's injury is as serious as maybe it could be.
Yeah, definitely agree. Being in the world that you're reporting, which you're doing an excellent job at, man. Love the work that you do, brother. Daniel Jeremiah had an interesting take as to a player that the Falcons should be looking at. And this, of course, is the whole Trey Lance situation, another quarterback situation that just doesn't seem to, just go away finally, man. We know what we have in Ritter. We put all the, best offensive pieces in front of him and, at his disposal. Why do you feel like the constant QB linking is still with this Atlanta Falcons team? And what are your thoughts on Trey Lance's performance thus far this preseason?
Well, to answer your Trey Lance question first, I don't know what else you need to see, to be honest. I mean, I feel like what you've seen is what you're going to get at this point. I feel like if he has been taking those next strides in practice, you'd be kind of seeing that. I feel like all the reports from camp, what you're seeing in the preseason has been relatively what's been reported. It's just he's not really figuring it out and really hasn't quite put it together, albeit he has struggled with injuries. Obviously what happened last season was very unfortunate. And he was going to be the starter. I mean, he was the starter in that first game when he got injured against Chicago.
Chicago.
It's just something that I don't quite understand. I mean, I feel like you're trying to make it work just because of where you pick him, and the talent's there. I mean, that's why he was taken so high, just because of his size, his speed, his arm strength, all that kind of stuff considered. But when you have a roster like the 49ers that's ready to win now, you can't really be waiting for your guy to develop, especially when you got a guy like Brock Purdy who has taken you there. But all that being said, I feel like he's linked to Atlanta just because of where he was taken and the rumors that Atlanta was interested in him at that time, which I don't know. It's rumors. I don't know any truth behind that whatsoever. But to go back to your question on the quarterbacks, I think it's a weird question because it's something that has been, like you said, it's been a whole off season. Are they going to go after Lamar Jackson? Are they going to go after this, that, and the other? It's just that Desmond wasn't a sexy pick. He was a mid-round guy, not a big school. He won a lot at Cincinnati.
Sure did.
And, he didn't perform lights out in his 4 starts. But what he did do was steadily improve in every single one of those 4 starts without, mind you, his best offensive weapon in Kyle Pitts. Not nearly the kind of offensive firepower he has now in Bijan Robinson. He had Tyler Algier. But he didn't have Bijan Robinson. He didn't have a guy like Matt Collins. He didn't even have a guy like Calvin Ridley back there.
So
true. He's got a lot more weapons and toys to play with on this offense. And Jonnu Smith now as well.
Oh,
a bunch of
love that trade.
To throw with. He's got a full off season now of working with the starters, as well as an entire season of learning the system. Arthur Smith runs a very complicated system. And I think this whole obsession with quarterbacks needing to start immediately, and you need to automatically judge whether they're going to be a starter after 1 season or 4 games, mind you, has been overblown so much. And I love to point it out. I think Matt Ryan and Joe Flacco are really the guys that started that trend.
2008
immediately in your first start and your first season, and automatically boom, he's the guy. Like there's no patience for quarterbacks anymore. So I think a guy like Desmond, when you go in for 4 starts and, he doesn't blow the doors off, it's like, oh, maybe they can do better. And I think the whole talk of Lamar Jackson was overblown so much just because I know NFL media or national media, I think, has really connected Lamar to the Falcons more so of just Atlanta's looking for the next Michael Vick, that next running quarterback, the flashy guy. You know what I mean? I think they want that to happen. Like I remember seeing the NFL or some outlet created a video of Lamar Jackson doing a rushing touchdown, and above it was the Michael Vick touchdown run against the Vikings, where it's like,
oh my God,
it's eerily similar, and it's like, you're just trying to create a narrative that isn't there.
Exactly.
There was no reported interest in the two all off season. I mean, Desmond even said it. When the off season began, that ownership and Terry Fontenot calling him saying that you're going to be the guy. This is your team. And Taylor Heineke, we also spoke to him when he was signed. When he was called, they're like, you're here to be Desmond's backup. Like, you're here to help Desmond be the best quarterback he can be. So, I mean, if that tells you anything about how this team feels about Desmond Ridder, Arthur Blank, just last week or just last week, maybe, so was saying that, we believe that he is our quarterback of the future. So, I mean, if that's not a ringing endorsement, I don't know what is.
That's a fact, man. That is a big ring of endorsement there.
Now, we know this is a run-heavy team, and we ran for 159 yards a game last year, which was third in the league. Add Bijan Robinson. How much does that number go up, and can they break the NFL record, which is 206 yards a game, by the 2019 Ravens, who ran for over 3,200 yards?
Well, again, I don't want to predict too much. I wouldn't be surprised if they do. I think one thing when it comes to Bijan Robinson is don't be surprised to see him utilized more in the passing game compared to the running game. Now, don't get me wrong. I think he's going to be utilized a hell of a lot in the running game. But I think he's going to be used all over the field. Like I've said this before. I think we could see a season where, Bijan gets 600 yards receiving and 600 yards rushing. One of those types of seasons. Where he's just all over the field. He's lining up in kick returns right now. I mean, they're using him as an offensive weapon all over the field. They've got him in the slot, they've got him in the backfield, they've got him. I've seen him take, working in the wildcat formation with some players. So, they've got him in different places to best help him succeed. And why not? When you've got a player of that caliber and that talent, you don't need to just limit him to just one position on the field.
True.
Especially when you have a guy who, as a rookie, broke the rookie rushing record. So, you have some flexibility to kind of use a guy like that all over the field.
Gotcha. Miles, we have a question from one of our fellow content creators, Uncle Steve, from Uncle Steve's Lounge. Folks, if you know Uncle Steve and you like what you see, please follow the platform. Give him a like, a sub, and a subscription, please. Great topics all the time, man. You can find them on Sundays and on Mondays. But Uncle Steve asks, what's up, guys? Question for Miles. Having covered the team, what do you see as the biggest culture change between 2022 preseason and this year's preseason?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of what I mentioned earlier. The biggest thing being the cap. The last 2 years, really. I mean, even last year was, they knew the situation they were still dealing with. They knew they were just trying to put a competitive product out there on the field, given what they were hamstrung by. I mean, I know last season it was a very popular choice to have the Falcons as the worst record in football, and they were still managing to churn out 7 wins. And really, they were in every single game they played last year, even against the really, really good teams. As they beat San Francisco, one of the better teams in the league last year. So, I think the biggest culture change is now this team knows they're ready to win. They know they can play toe-to-toe with some of the best teams in the league, just because of the talent influx that they have. And they've bought into Arthur Smith's system. Arthur Smith and Terry Fontenot have a type for their the player they want on their team. And it's very evident when you speak to them and you understand what they're shooting for. They all have a goal. They all are on the same page with what they're trying to achieve. And I'd say it's kind of a long-winded way of answering that question, but I think this entire team has now bought into the Arthur Smith, Terry Fontenot culture. And that culture is, I think, we're finally going to be able to see it come to fruition on the field this season.
I know we a lot, amongst us content creators, we talk about a lot of topics that we see, and we make reaction videos and stuff like that, but we want to get it from you. And it goes like this: the CP rumor that doesn't die. Please tell the fans CP is not going anywhere. I don't know how many times this guy has either been on the trading block, on the chopping block, any block. Certainly not on not nobody else's block but the Atlanta Falcons, man. So what do you say to the rumors that, because I know you hear them, I know you probably see them as well. Do you sometimes just scroll away and just don't pay attention to any of those things? What do you do to just just stare left of those negativity in comments, man?
Unless the Falcons are playing this extremely, extremely close to the chest and we haven't heard anything, that's not happening. It's just.
Thank you.
There's no relevance to it. There's no confirmed reports of it. There's nothing to it.
Yeah.
He's one of the leaders on this offense, one of the biggest cheerleaders for this Falcons team. So I don't see that happening.
Thank you.
And to add on to CP, with the addition of Bijan Robinson, how much do you see his usage changing at running back, or will you see him playing more at receiver or more at return?
I think it's the best thing for him because, let's be honest, CP isn't getting any younger. He's on the wrong side of 30 when it comes to running backs are concerned. And I think we've seen this come the last 2 years where he starts the season really hot. He scores a lot of touchdowns towards the tail end of the season. He starts to see his carries get limited a little bit more. So I think this is something that can keep CP fresh, can keep him, those first 3 games of CP that we've seen the last 2 years throughout the season, kind of spread that out a little bit more. But yeah, like I said, I think we'll probably see him all over the field like we'll see Bijan. We'll see him in the slot. We'll see him out wide. We'll see him in the backfield. I think we'll see a wide range of usage for Cordarrelle Patterson this year.
Yeah, and I think with Arthur Smith play calling, which I really don't know how it's going to go this year, I feel like with Bijan Robinson and add more talent, I feel like he's going to try to be more explosive. We know this is a run-heavy scheme, but how much more passing do you see this year than there was last year? Because even though this is a run-heavy team, we still see a little bit more passing than we saw last year.
Yeah, and it's funny. Arthur Smith actually had a funny bite about this the other day when he was asked about it because people tend to forget that first season of Arthur Smith very quickly. When you had Matt Ryan, they were throwing the ball quite a bit compared to what they did last season, obviously. But that first year with Matt Ryan, their attempts were way up from what they were. And the reason being is you play to your strengths. Arthur Smith said this. You have a quarterback like Matt Ryan. You have a talent like Kyle Pitts and Calvin Ridley at that time. You're going to use it. So obviously, we saw the beginnings of that run game when his first season was there. We saw it mostly with Cordarrelle Patterson. Mike Davis, not quite the running back we thought he was going to be that first year. And then you go to next season. You have Marcus Mariota, a little bit more limited as a passer, especially when you compare him to Matt Ryan. But what do you have? You have Cordarrelle Patterson. You have Tyler Algier. Kyle Pitts had an injury throughout the year. You have a rookie wide receiver still developing. You're probably going to rely on your run game a lot more.
Sure.
I think that's why last year we saw way more of that. So this year, I think is the year that you see a little bit more of that balance because now you have a back-to-form Kyle Pitts. You have a seasoned not Desmond Ridder. Well, you do have a more seasoned Desmond Ridder, but a more seasoned Drake London. You have more offensive weapons, Matt Collins, Jonnu Smith, like I said, and you have 2 stud running backs now. So I think this is the year where you see a little bit more of that balance, and I think that's vital to any successful team is balance. I don't think you need to be stellar at one thing and not as good as the other. I think a balanced offense is key. Look at the 2016 Falcons. They had Tevin Coleman and Devontae Freeman. That running game was working very well for them. And you had Roddy White. Not Roddy. Did they have Roddy White? No, that was
Mohamed Sanu. Oh, fan favorite.
Yeah,
a lot of people are pushing for him to come. Yeah, Bean Talk. That's right, man. A lot of people are pushing for him to come back, but you go ahead. Just going back to that balance. The best teams have it, and the 2012 Falcons, who also made the NFC Championship. Michael Turner. You got to have that balance on offense. You got to give them a threat. So I think that's what this team can bring. Man, that's amazing, man. So Tyler Algier still running back number one, right? There's no way that Bijan gets drafted, at 8 and comes in and just takes the reins, right? You still feel like Tyler Algier is consensus running back number one. I mean, he grinded out for us, for 15 games last year for us. He wasn't active against the Rams week 2. A mistake I believe that was made. I think that had he had that game, and we could have seen, of course, the rushing totals go up a little bit more, but it would have been a more dangerous Tyler Algier because of all the things that he would have learned in just one extra game, quite frankly. So do you still feel running back number one is Tyler Algier to be had?
I think this year more than anything is you're not going to necessarily see, especially at running back, that running back 1 or running back 2 or running back 3. I think it's going to just be who's feeling fresh, who works for this scheme. I don't think it's going to be your generic starter versus backup type role. So I think it's kind of tough to answer that question because I think the way this Arthur Smith calls his plays and the way that things are organized, that I think it's not necessarily going to be that generic RB1.
Yeah.
That being said, I do think you don't draft a running back at number 7 overall and have him as your number 2 running back. So I think that's important to note. As much as good as what Tyler Algier did last season. But yeah, that being said, that doesn't mean that you're not going to not utilize Tyler Algier and just throw him to the wayside. You're going to use him a lot.
Yes. I agree 100% on that. I have another question over here from our friend A1 Forever Sports, Chris Tipmore. Says, sorry, 2 questions. First, over or under 15 snaps for Ritter this Friday?
15 is a good number. I'm going to go with the under just because I feel like that would be an Arthur Smith thing. So I'm going to go with the under on that.
With the under. And his second part to his question, do you think we'll see much of Kyle Pitts?
I do. I think you'll see at least one drive of Kyle Pitts. I think he'll be, because he's shown in practice he's ready to go full strength. So Arthur Smith said that any player who's been full strength at practice and ready to go will play in this game. So I'm assuming that he's a man of his word. So we'll see if we can see him.
Hey, Berto, I hear a microwave over there, man. You got some popcorn?
Oh man, get your popcorn ready. You know how we do on the sports machine, man. Miles, do you your quick thoughts on this whole notion that the NFL is kind of going to this positionless theme? A lot of teams are catching on to it, using a bevy of players in different roles and stuff like that. Do you think that's the next common wave for offensive players in the NFL?
Not necessarily. I think things are very cyclical when it comes to the NFL. Like, lately, I think the last 10 years, it's been a passing league. You sort of seeing the running back thing go to the wayside a little bit, as we've seen with the whole, pay issue that's been going on with Saquon Barkley and some of these other running backs who've been very vocal about that. So I do think that things start to churn because when you have offenses like that, the defenses are going to follow suit. So let's take a team like the Falcons, for instance, who are relying more on the running game. You can use that to your advantage going up against a defense that's built to stop the pass. If you're going up against a defense that, has got small, fast cornerbacks, how are they going to tackle these giants that the Falcons have on their offense? So
basketball team.
Exactly. I think the league, it's built in that way. And, as soon as a team starts doing something that works, other teams are going to give it a try too. And suddenly you've got this rolling ball of other teams starting to try it out, and it might end up working for them. So as far as positionless football is concerned, I think it's just something that, works. I think the 49ers may have started something when it comes to that. Like, I like to compare Bijan Robinson when people ask me how the Falcons are going to use him a lot to Deebo Samuel. I think he's going to be very much like that type of player.
Hell yeah.
Obviously more of that running backs. I think Deebo is more of a wide receiver in college, but I very much see him as a Deebo Samuel type for the Falcons. But I think positionless football is something that just makes a player more valuable. You can offer different things to the table, and I think Bijan Robinson is your perfect example of that.
Man, amazing, man. Miles, man, thank you so much, man. Very great answers to all the questions that we have. I'm going to open it to the chat. I see some questions in the chat before we go. So we have one from our fellow friend here, Twisted Torch TV. How many touches do you see Bijan getting on Friday?
Twisted Torch, what's up, man? Yeah,
I'd
say again, like, don't get your hopes up, Falcons fans. It's not. It's still the preseason game number 2. We don't want to overwork or hurt Bijan in his second meaningless preseason game. But I definitely will probably see him get the ball 5 to 8 times, if I had to guess.
Cool. Twisted Torch, thank you for that super chat, man. We definitely appreciate that, man. Thank you so much. We have another one from Miss Lisa Shepard, which is, will you be at the season opener versus Carolina, Miles?
Hey, Lisa. Yeah, no, I'm not sure yet. We kind of take things week by week here at Fox 5. So we're not quite sure which games I'll be at, which games I won't be at quite yet. So it'll be kind of a week by week decision.
Very cool. We have a Miles, this is very pivotal the way that you answer this, man. It comes from our good friend Big Low Country. We have a group, which is myself, Smitty, Uncle Steve, Big Low. But he's ask Miles if he would like to join Southern Silk, brother. Please, you got to say yes, man. You got to say yes. Southern Silk, it's a running thing that we got going on here where we're all presumed vocalists and we can sing our behinds off. Big Low takes the crown as the leading singer. He has pushed Smitty to the backup role, and myself, Uncle Steve, and Big Low are the vocalists in the group. So he's asking if you would like to join, man. So what say you on a possible joining the group, man? So please let us know, man. Come on. You got to say yes, brother.
Happy to do it. I don't know if I can do it now with the coworkers here behind me. So I don't need DJ Shockley right behind me to hear this. So yeah.
Oh man, that's awesome, man. That's awesome. Smitty, you got anything else you want to add?
Nope. That was it.
I see one more. Here from our friend Winston Dorton. Question: what do y'all think about Ade going on IR, and does that signal the end of his time with the Falcons?
Yeah, it was an interesting scenario because I think coming into this training camp, he was a bubble guy, just because of the bodies they brought in and what he was able to do last season. I certainly had him as a bubble guy for myself. Like I said, just because of those linebackers and sort of those ends you bring in, Bud Dupree, Caden Ellis, Lorenzo Carter you bring back. He seemed like sort of the odd man out there. That being said, it's not good news, obviously, from an injury standpoint for him and for, an outlook for him. When that tends to happen, usually it doesn't spell good news for a guy like that. So certainly not optimistic for it going forward, but would like to see him succeed. Ade's a good guy. I covered him when he was at Notre Dame, so he's a good dude.
Very well. We're gonna squeeze one more in, man. We're gonna where is it? Right here. Bud Dupree impact. He's had a lot of success, mainly with his years in Pittsburgh. Of course, I think it was 2011, finished with 11 and a half sacks that year. Comes now into Atlanta, more of a seasoned vet, and he comes in and he plays a complementary role, I would like to say, with Lorenzo Carter, AK-47, D'Angelo Malone. So where do you see Bud Dupree's where do you see him fitting in with this group, and what he can spill on to the other guys that are on the roster right now? Especially more so D'Angelo Malone, because he has a very bright future and a great skill set also to his attributes, man.
Yeah, I see Bud as a very valuable rotational piece for them at that linebacker spot. And like you said, D'Angelo Malone, I think really a underrated and not as talked about guy last season who was there making plays. I'm expecting big things at AK this year as well, but I think Bud's veteran leadership, as well as, like we said, we've been talking about this entire segment, just about all the bodies they have with the linebacker group. You can afford to use him as a rotational piece and have him in certain scenarios to help best suit his skill set, whatever might work. He's been in the league for a while now. You don't want to overwork him. And I think people forget how long he's really been in the NFL.
In the league, yeah. He was drafted, I think, the same year as Vic Beasley, so 2015.
15,
I believe so. Yeah, pushing 10 years now. So, you want to see him get back to that Bud Dupree of old. I know he's dealt with his share of injuries in the past, but I do think it's a very valuable signing, especially bringing a guy like that home who's from Georgia. So I think that's a big signing.
I believe he's from Macon, Georgia, if I'm not mistaken.
He is. He used to work down in Macon, so he'd come down there sometimes.
Oh man, that's so dope, man. So dope, man. But Miles, man, thank you so much for joining the stream tonight, man. Thank you for taking so much of your valuable time and just rocking with us and vibing with us, man. We definitely appreciate you. We would love to have you back on, if time allows, as the season progresses. I probably speak for a lot of Falcon fans when I say this, man. This is our year. I know we're probably a lot of fans say it year in and year out, but it just has such a different feel. The energy that we spoke about in the beginning, the looseness of Arthur Smith and how he's looking more comfortable. And I think we're going to see the best of Arthur Smith and his play calling this year. He's added so many weapons, at all phases, offensive and defense. Ryan Nielsen coming, Jerry Gray hire. It feels like this Falcons team is really putting it all together. We could go on this special run, albeit, the 2016 season. But, we definitely thank you for taking time out to be in with myself and Smitty, man. But before you head out, please tell the folks where they can reach you and where they can contact you for, questions or just a simple hello.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm most active on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it these days. My ad is at Miles Garrett TV. That's Miles with an I, not a Y, not the defensive end for the Browns. But that's where I'm most active on all my Falcons content. We're also going to be doing a lot of Georgia content as well. We're the official station now, the Georgia Bulldogs. So we're the official station for the Falcons and the Georgia Bulldogs. So anything you guys want, either one of those teams, that's where you can find us on Fox 5, as well as the Fox Local app. We do a lot of stuff there as well. So you guys feel free to tune in. I'll be hosting the Dirty Bird Report this Sunday, our hour-long post-game, and not post-game, but kind of post-game on Sunday, where we kind of dissect everything that happened during the preseason game. So that's where you can find it.
Hey, give us a shout out on that show.
My best.
Definitely, man. But again, thank you so much, Miles, for hanging out with us tonight, man. Man, thank you again, brother. We really appreciate and enjoyed having you on. We're looking forward to more collaborations down the line as the season progresses, man.
No doubt.
Absolutely, guys. Looking forward to it. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you. Awesome, man. Folks, that was Miles Garrett from Fox 5, man. What an honor, man. What an honor and a privilege to, share the platform with such a young man with so much knowledge. And, what a great thing, man. He covers our very own Atlanta Falcons so closely. So a lot of the news and what his thoughts are very valuable because he's so in-depth into it, man. So definitely a good listening to, man. Does great broadcasting as well. So very looking forward to to collaborate him down the line, brother.
He actually was doing the interview while he was at work. So,
man.
Time out his busy schedule because probably in the next 30 minutes to an hour, he's probably got to hop back on the TV. Talk sports. So he's probably going to have to go throw on his suit. But everybody in the chat, man, we appreciate y'all dropping those questions, man.
Man. Thank y'all for sure, man.
Big Low.
Southern Soul, man.
That big Low, boy, he out of control.
Man.
Torch.
Yes,
but all these
brother
guys,
Twisted, man.
That has content. Man, y'all know what to do. Y'all go in the description of this video, find some great Atlanta Falcons content creators. Check out what they're doing because they're working just as hard as we are. So when I tell you, they'll be grateful. They will definitely be grateful for y'all supporting them.
Man, I got to give a quick special shout out, man. It's a close, very, very close personal friend of mine. It's my boy Javier. Man, this is my barber, but he's a diehard Pats fan. Never throws it in my face, about what happened and nothing like that. Always very respectful. So, much love to you. Thank you for joining the stream tonight. Thank you for dropping a comment, man. I'll see you soon, my brother. But yes, man, everybody that made this stream as successful as it was tonight, man. Thank y'all so very much for, tapping in, tuning in via Facebook, Twitter, either one of the platforms, my platform or Smitty's platform, man. Thank you all so much for, stopping through tonight. Smitty, if you want to say anything before you go. Yeah. Hell yeah. Go ahead, brother.
Big Low. He didn't remind me. I was just about to do it anyway. Meet and greet this Saturday at Taco Mac in Hiram, 7 p.m. Man, y'all please be there. Y'all can look on my community page, and I'm going to post it in probably about 30 minutes. If y'all want to know where to find us and how to come out, and I think, man, it's gonna be crazy. Trust me, and there's gonna be some surprises. So, hey,
Yeah.
Going to be a lot of surprises. So, hey, trust me.
Very dope, man. Very enticed by this one right here. KC Falcon 85. Thank you for joining the stream tonight. It says, what's up, Twisted, GA, Faithful, Big Low, Smitty 95. I'm sub to all y'all. Thank you, my brother. We really appreciate it. And I don't know what the hell this guy's lying. Stop lying, man. I'm out, coño. Tortures me all the goddamn time. But, man, that's going to wrap up another edition of the 95 North Sports Machine. For your boy Berto, your host of the 95 North Falcons Talk Show. Smitty?
Hey, it's time to wrap it up. We'll see y'all probably Friday night for the Bengals game. We'll see how that plays out. But
hell yeah,
like I said, a lot of surprises in the coming days, so y'all just keep your eyes open.
Definitely, man. Hope y'all enjoy your your get together on Saturday. The game is going to be amazing on Friday. I know the Benz is going to be lit. It's going to be jumping. We're back home, and for those that don't know, the Falcons are home from this Friday all the way for another month. So, great way for these guys to get acclimated to the atmosphere, the rookies and stuff like that, man. So very excited to see what the outcome is going to be on Friday night. And until then, man, we will catch y'all soon, man. Peace.